on a date with me, and I was the host. I and my guests don't get to the dining room because we never leave the bar. A lot of beer. I'm Godfrey Bloom. I was a founder member of UKIP, but it isn't for me. But every time I see Mrs. May on the television, my pen hesitates over my ballot paper. She's a rather typical vicar's daughter. I'm sure she's very good at running church fetes, but as to running a country, I rather suspect it's above her pay grade.
The sort of date I would hope this is not, it's somebody who really has no respect for women. I'm Gina Miller. I took the government to court. My voting history has been for Labour. Because it's all about Brexit, I will be voting Lib Dem. Being on a date with me is normally a roller coaster because I'm a very unpredictable, sort of risk-taking sort of person.
I've got no guesses whom I'm about to meet. That was kept very quiet from me. There isn't a single politician that I agree with, so it should be interesting.
Hello.
Hello! How lovely to see you!
And you! It's a surprise.
Yeah. I'm Godfrey Bloom, by the way.
Yeah, honestly.
Well, we always assume that somebody knows, of course.
I know exactly. Pleasure to meet you.
Do you think that we've given already, this early in the Brexit negotiations, more away than we should have done?
I don't understand the inflexible way we are going towards these negotiations.
Why are we negotiating? Explain to me 1 minute. Why don't we just leave?
What happens next if we just leave?
Well, we just, you know, when I left my club, my London club, I wrote a very nice letter and said it was marvellous goodbye. And they said, oh dear, sorry to lose you, goodbye. I don't understand this.
Next?
What are we negotiating?
No, what I'm going to know, the question I asked was, when we leave, what happens next?
Well, what happens next is we just trade.
It's not that simple, though. They've already said it's not that simple. I mean,
Who are they?
So, let's go through the list you've just said. Because the EU membership is more than what you can get out. It's more about economics. It's more about trading.
What is it about, then?
It's about
What's it
security.
About?
It's about ensuring that
it's a political project, isn't it? Let's get this clear.
No,
it's a political project which has been rejected by the British people. They don't want a federal Europe, do they? They don't want a federal. They just voted for it. Don't want it.
Well, do people know what they voted for?
Oh, people are thick. You're coming out this. Is this the next time we're rolling out that people are stupid? People don't understand what they voted for.
No.
I've been hearing a lot of this. We're all a bit stupid.
I didn't think it was stupid. If it's so stupid, why was Google search the biggest today on the 24th of June? The biggest search on Google UK was "What is the EU?" That was the biggest search by millions of anything else.
Yes.
What is the EU?
Yes.
I'm asking people, did you vote for, did you know what you voted for, did you vote to leave the EU? They said no. We thought we voted because we could just leave tomorrow. That's the main comforts are coming.
We can. I wish we would.
We can't just walk away from the EU.
Why can't we do that?
Because we legally can't do that. There's a bill. I know there's some opinions saying there isn't a bill to pay, but there is.
There isn't a bill to pay. No, we don't pay. We don't pay, we just go.
What happens in the limbo, in the interim, if we just leave?
Look, what's going to happen with these people, and believe me, I've had a lot of experience with these people, is they will string out the negotiations, they'll string it out, they'll fudge it, and they'll come up with Brexit Light, which isn't what the people voted for. People, right across political parties, voted to leave. And leave we must. And I think the sooner everybody...
I accept that.
Everybody stop this prevaricating. All this is prevarication.
No, it's not. I was on the sort of trail the October before the actual vote, and I went all the way around the country. There was huge anger against the EU. And this, sort of shouting, oh, well, when we leave, there won't be any immigration, and none of you, pointing at me, none of you will be able to come. And I said, but it's the EU immigration that's going to stop when we leave the EU, not immigration.
I think the point that people didn't understand, and I'm totally with you on this, more than 50% of immigration is not coming from the EU anyway. And Theresa May had plenty of time to deal with this when she was at the Home Office, and she didn't. Now, I think
we have terrible border. I mean, our control at the borders is not great.
It's hopeless. We know that immigration is good, like the curate saying, it's good in parts. But we don't need some people who are coming. They're camping in the parks. You know, they're pooing in the bushes. We don't want them. One of the reasons I got slightly disenchanted with UKIP in the past is this inability to make this distinction between good immigration and bad immigration.
What about UKIP? What's going to happen? What do you think?
Well, one of the reasons I left UKIP and sat as an independent, because they had no strategy. They had a lot of very loyal foot soldiers, deeply patriotic, very nice people, but they had no strategy. Because post-Brexit, what have we got in the shop window, I used to say? What's UKIP got in the shop window after Brexit, win or lose? Or is the party going to disappear in a puff of smoke?
Is it not going to disappear?
Disappeared in a puff of smoke.
By-elections.
As I said it would. As I said it would. They wouldn't listen. I couldn't make them listen. It was a cult. Everybody's now saying, oh, Paul Nuttall isn't a good leader, or he shouldn't have been leader, and all this kind of thing. You can't fatten a pig on market day, as we say in Yorkshire. You can't fatten a pig on market day.
This whole Brexit thing and the experiences I've been through brought up this idea of, you know, was racism always here, or we entered a different place in society in Britain now? But social media has created a platform where there's almost a feeding frenzy. What do we do about that?
Do you control social media?
No. I think people in places of status need to be much quicker in reacting.
For better or for worse, I'm very new to this social media thing. I'm the wrong age group.
It's probably a good thing.
It's noisy. It's the lavatory wall very often. But generally speaking, it isn't particularly reflective of how people think.
If someone can take out, for example, if someone can take out and say, set up a Facebook page which says, Gina Miller is a traitor, should be beheaded, I'm offering £5,000 to someone to do that, to behead her or whatever, and then I've got hundreds of thousands of people signing up or following or retweeting that individual, that's taking us to a different place.
And I went into politics, and all of a sudden no form of abuse was, you know, too great. I mean, it didn't matter what I was called, fascist, misogynist, bigot. I've been called a lot. As soon as I put my head above the parapet, you've just put your head above the parapet. Welcome to my world. I've been in this world now for 10 years.
This is the thing I found, is we can't normalise these behaviours. We have to all stand together and say...
You're in a little bit of a dodgy position, if you don't mind me suggesting it, because you are very heavily involved in this process of Brexit as a personality, and jolly good too, but you're not elected. You don't have a mandate. Go wherever you live and say, vote for me.
I never knew that politics wasn't the business of everyone. I thought we were all had a responsibility to speak up and had the right and the voice to speak up. Politics is not something that happens to me. Politics is something that affects every single part of my life, my children's life, my friend's life. And so there I have every right to stand up and say what I believe.
I wouldn't say you didn't have the right to do it.
No. So I don't have to be a politician. As an individual citizen, I have a civic duty, which I'm exercising.
You'd lose some of the stick, I think, if you were in elected office.
What I found in the last 18 months, which I found, and I knew it was in the city, but it's much more widespread than I thought, is this idea that as a woman, I can't be clever enough to have thought of this case or come up with this case on my own. There must be lots of very influential, rich men behind me with, you know, strings, pulling my strings. And I find this whole idea that I'm now being painted as a feminist quite an interesting one, because I'm actually an equalist. I don't believe that should be one above the other, and I think diversity is about all sorts of things. It's not just about gender.
Well, it's a label. It's a label because it saves anybody doing any research.
Thinking, or any thinking.
When I said no small businessman would employ a woman of childbearing age, on the end I said under the draconian regulations, employment legislation that we now have, the number of business women that wrote to me about that and said, you're absolutely right, I will not employ a woman until her children have grown up. I can't afford in a 4 or 5 man business to lose a woman for a year on maternity leave. I don't believe in quotas. I believe in a free society. We can come to an arrangement without politicians. Not quotas. Quotas are a disaster, and they always have been. You're promoted to your level of incompetence.
Yeah.
But the problem with
you could say that you won't go there with the Prime Minister, but anyway.
Another point of agreement here. I don't think I will probably vote.
Not at all.
I don't think I will.
Oh my gosh, I'm so disappointed to hear that. I won't be voting Labour because I actually think the two leaders we have in the two main parties are not fit for purpose. The vote is so precious. I want to vote on a local level.
I agree.
Just for this election, vote local, not national.
Perfectly fair. As I said, well, really, it's a bit like, mate, don't take any notice of the rosette. Go and see the candidates.
Yeah,
what have they got to say?
I think it's only fair that we split the bill.
Look, I'm an old age pensioner. You're a London investment banker. There's only one person here that should be paying the bill.
I was going to say, the retired people have got everything these days, so I think it's you that should be.
So, how was it?
Well, it's always the same when you meet the foeman or the foe woman. There's so much more common ground than you ever imagined that there will be.
What's really positive is that we can disagree and agree, but have a civilised conversation.
What did you make of each other before you met? What was your perception?
Nosy Parker.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Yes, I thought Gina was, yes, a bit of a nosy Parker because Brexit is my personal domain and nobody else is allowed to poke their nose in. But she's won me around to a fairly, don't agree with her, but she's certainly won me around.
Again, I understand the caretakers, if you like, of Brexit, and you know, the passions have been there for very, very many years, even before I came to the UK. But I just think it's healthy that we move on together and we talk about where we go to next.
Don't disagree at all?
Unusually and unexpected.
And possibly ruin the entire programme.
Probably.
I think we're mucking up their game, sir.
Serves them right. They should be playing something decent like cricket.
All right, sir.